And welcome back to final segment here on this edition of Home Track Heroes. Action from Evergreen Speedway. We'll get the field lined back up. Greg Bennett obviously could not make it back in. It turned out he had a punctured radiator and couldn't make it back out. And so now Greg gets to stand and watch Doug make his way through and see how he can do. So that's going to put Dawson Cox up on the pole. Caden Holm will still work up on the outside as the Speedway Chevrolet pace car pulls off. We'll get this thing back underway. 50 laps coming up, and we're going to try it one more time for our Speedway Chevrolet Pro Late models.
Off at turn 4, the green flag, and for this start, probably the best start of the three. Holm in that 9 car getting a good jump the first 2 times, this time side by side with Dawson Cox as they head on down into turn number 3. Let's see if we can get a lap in the books and get this thing underway.
All right, this segment is brought to you by Tire Pros. Proud to welcome Tire Pros as our new sponsor here at Evergreen Speedway, and they are the official tire dealer of Evergreen Speedway. Tire Pros is your one-stop tire retailer where honesty is the best policy, and they have a hassle-free guarantee. Tire Pros has all the national brands and offers a nationwide warranty on your tires. Check them out at tirepros.com. All right, look at this side by side with Caden Holm and Dawson Cox in the 7D. Naaman Lang all the way up into the 3rd spot.
This is part of this youth movement we were talking about earlier in the year. Look at that.
Yeah.
You got Holm and Cox, 2 of the youngest kids out there doing it side by side. And of course, in that number 3 spot, a guy who's been doing it a long time, very, very experienced. Naaman Lang just riding around in that 3rd spot. But Holm, Dawson Cox, kids like that, when you get into the 12 car, Fitzpatrick, people like that, they're the future of the sport here at Evergreen Speedway.
They are, and you got to count Haley Constantine on that one as well, because boy, she has really made a lot of strides in that program in the number 78 Joe's Racing Products machine, and still a great battle up front. Dawson with a bit of an advantage of taking it down into 9K car of Caden Holm working really good. Probably might want to get a little bit better run off the top of turn number 2 that time, but boy, he is doing an impressive job hanging in there with Naaman Lang all over the back end of the 7.
And if we could get a shot into the pit area, I bet you we'd find Greg Bennett pacing back and forth as he watches his son Doug. Racing is way easier to handle, to take care of, to control the nerves than watching a brother, a son, your daughter race. So I'm betting that right now the radiator is the least of Greg Bennett's concern.
Boy, Caden Holm got uncomfortably close with his right rear quarter panel up against the fence there as they came across the start-finish line on that great camera shot down on the top of the fence there, but they still looking good now. Dawson Cox still maintaining that slim lead, 18 of Naaman Lang working on the inside of Caden Holm. Thomas Stanford holding up strong in that bottom on the number 19 car. So there they come now out of turn number 4, 8 down now, make it 9 laps with 41 to go.
Steve, the question I think for 2022 is not if Thomas Stanford wins the main event, but how many main events does Thomas Stanford win? You can see him right there diving down on the inside of turn 3, trying to make a move, smartly backing out of that thing, living to race it again, and here we come. He's on the inside right now, doing a great job. He's insiding home, moving up into that number 3 spot, nice and clean. Great teacher there. I mean, that's a great race team, but having the Tanner family in your corner, nothing but good.
Yeah, a lot of experience there. Look at Naaman Lang taking a look down on the inside now here on lap number 11 as Dawson Cox going to try and keep it competitive there up on the outside line as they go into turn number 3. Thomas Stanford still looking good in that 3rd spot with Caden Holm about 2 car lengths back. But the fun is all happening up front between Lang in the 18 and Cox in the 7.
Right now, Naaman Lang, and of course, he's driving the car driven by his son last year, won the championship, his son at the University of Washington, turning out the quarterback. So Tyson doing a great job. Tyson Lang at the University of Washington. And the only thing that's going to keep Naaman Lang from continuing to win races here at Evergreen Speedway is probably retirement.
Yeah,
and I don't think that's on the horizon right now, but doing a great job. It's Lang, Dawson Cox, Thomas Stanford in that number 3 spot as they're starting to pull away from the 4th position.
Good shot of Chad Fitzpatrick on the inside. Wyatt Gardner, who's been working that number 3 car for the past couple of seasons here in our Speedway Chevrolet Pro Late model, is started to work up on the outside. He'll tuck back in behind Chad Fitzpatrick in his familiar orange number 12 there, currently in spot number 5. One night, I think one of the highlights of the year was when Chad won the 250-lap main events that we had one night out here, and it was an amazing night for that team, and they have been struggling to get back up there. But boy, there's a bunch of you talked about how good of a crew he's got, and so loyal to that car and that team and that family, and it's really been fun to watch him grow.
Well, and we've seen, we talk about youth movement. I mean, Wyatt Gardner, just 20 years old, so he's not exactly very long in the tooth. And I think that's a race team that's maybe a piece away, maybe a person away, or whatever it is, from being a real contender. I've seen this year some flashes of really good racing out of that 3 car, and I bet they'll work really, really hard on it the winter, and they'll be even stronger next year.
Yeah, and I think what's also cool about that number 3 team, they've got a great group of people behind him. Wyatt's got a ton of support. His family, from top to bottom, helps him out every way that they possibly can. As you see, a good shot of Rob Dees there working down the bottom of turns 1 and 2 with Haley Constance right behind him. But I'm glad we're kind of showing these cars because, they may not run up front, but they're so important to this division, and they even if they have a really good strong finish, it kind of, the points are what they are. But you can't do it without having teams like the 3 of Wyatt Gardner, the 91 of Rob Dees, and especially the 78 of Haley Constance, who was really impressive when it was showdown weekend.
Yeah, that girl did a great job. And, watching that 91 car early in the year, it was evil at times.
It really was.
Evil. And right now, you can watch that thing down the straightaway, on the white line, everything else. And Dee's doing a really, really good job. And that's part of that, finding what you need and getting that feel. One of the hardest things is you don't know what it's supposed to feel like. You don't know what's good. Mm-hmm. So if you don't know what's good, how do you come in and tell your crew, look, we got to fix that? And guess what?
Yeah.
I put the kiss of death on the 91 of Dees as he gets a little bit of not turned that thing around there, but just kept it green, and away we keep going.
Well, Rob, Tom owes you one. That's all I'm going to tell you.
I know. That was a Steve Moreland move right there.
Yeah.
Say something nice.
That was my year last year.
And this year.
So responsible for causing people to go around. All right, Naaman Lang here as we are going to come up at the halfway point for our Speedway Chevrolet Pro Late Model main event on a really nice Saturday night out here in Monroe, Washington. They had you see those Mobile Mini Connexes that are down below there. The night prior to this, they had the Nitro Circus, and 10,000 people packed into this place. It was just amazing, some of the pictures that I saw, and they did such a incredible job of getting the place cleaned up. They were all on the infield there, so hats off to the crew of Evergreen Speedway for getting this place race ready. Nobody had a complaint at all.
Well, and you know what? It proves just how much race fans missed our sport last year in 2020, when everybody was locked out and the grandstands were empty, and let's hope we get this thing knocked back down again. So we can continue on, finish this year strong and into next year. But I've talked to a lot of racetracks in the Northwest, and every one of them is saying, yeah, we're having a very, very good year. Whether you're talking about the dirt down at Grays Harbor or South Sound Speedway, Skagit Speedway, into Idaho, Wenatchee Valley. All are having very, very good years, and it's great to have the fans back in the stands.
It sure is. It makes it so much funner if you do what, these guys absolutely love racing in front of grandstands with people. And to be quite honest, when you do what we do, Greg, you, me, is announcing a crew up here, we'd love to be able to be in front of these people and bringing them as much happiness as we can, because if you read the papers, it's not too good of a time out there. So if we can put on a good show and still keep bringing people in and being careful, this is a pretty great way to spend a Saturday night. You can find out what's going on every Saturday night out here, and especially with the fair coming up on evergreenspeedway.com. All the information you need, you can find there. What's remaining for the rest of the schedule. Like Tom mentioned at the start of the show, we've got a lot of good nights coming up ahead. Championship nights coming up, and a couple of big figure 8 shows still on the schedule.
Well, and there are a lot of classes that run at Evergreen Speedway, and some of them take a lot of equipment and a lot of money. Some of them a little bit less equipment, and some, great starting spots. So if you have a son or a daughter that might be interested in getting involved here at Evergreen Speedway, reach out to the Speedway, and they'll give you some names, some people to talk to that'll help you do that. You'll learn to ask the right questions, and you don't have to be a genius at working on cars to learn this sport. You start, there's people like one of our favorites, Kelly Mann, who, didn't know what stagger, I think, even meant on a race car in terms of tires, and went on to be extremely successful, not only in the street stock division, but in the late model division and the touring division and stuff like that. But there was a guy who grew in the sport, and so don't come in, you're thinking you have to have a 8-foot long toolbox and a 35-foot trailer and everything else to make this happen. Some of the people that are having the most fun don't have that stuff, and right now we see Stanford all over Dawson Cox working and now on the inside. Cox holding that outside groove, trying to motor up just a little bit more on the outside, but Stanford doing a great job of chasing down Dawson Cox.
I've been watching Thomas just kind of inch by inch by inch, and look at this move down on the bottom. Dawson Cox up on the outside, Thomas Stanford down on the inside that gets the poor man's traction control as he dipped the left side off on the bottom of the track to get some rotation into that thing. But man, what a great battle with 12 laps to go. Dawson Cox hanging on to second. But Tom, your comments that you made, Dawson Cox is the perfect example of that. Start him off in a Hornet, start him off. If they would have had youth Hornets, they probably would have thrown him in there too and just got up to the top of every division he's been in, but still hanging on with Thomas Stanford, putting all kinds of pressure on him. Meanwhile, the 18 of Naaman Lang just off on a different zip code as he is working it. But this race here for second spot is just a classic.
Kind of interesting to watch this from my standpoint. Stanford, there for a few laps, was very, very good off turn 4, having a difficult time getting off turn 2. Then the last lap, he was better off 2 than he was off 4. So that's part of it. And some of that is a learning curve that he's going through, trying to figure out how to make this thing happen. And Cox with just a little bit more experience. But you see right there, Stanford trying every trick in the book, and he'll figure out how to get more comfortable and maybe possibly make that pass on the outside instead of catfishing, as they say, on the bottom of the racetrack.
Boy, he really had to back out of it there. He lifted Dawson up a little bit as they were just coming into the hard part of turn number 4. Good job by Thomas to back out of it, let Dawson get his car settled back down and continue on. We'll have 7 laps to go as Naaman Lang, like I said, just not even in the picture. But this race for second is just so good between Dawson Cox. And look at this, Dawson a little bit wide as he's been all race long coming out of turn number 4, but still gets a good rotation and really cut that corner off nice out of turn number 2.
Cox at 21 years of age, and Thomas, Stanford at 20 years of age. So these kids have a long future in this sport, and they're going to do this more than once. As we go through the remainder of this year and into next year, these people are going to find victory lane a lot, and they're going to make it tough on, some of the older guard like Naaman Lang, Greg Bennett, those sorts of people, because there is no doubt we have a strong youth movement. Right now, Stanford just digging, and like as that expression we used earlier, elbows up, keeping digging in that seat. You're sitting in the corner at this point, knowing you're running out of laps. Your spotter's telling you got 5 to go. Come on. The expression I use, go to the whip.
Yep.
It's time to go. Give me 5 good laps, the best 5 laps you can give me. Use up these tires, use up the race car. if you don't win it, bring me back the steering wheel.
And boy, I tell you, Thomas Stanford just absolutely committed to that bottom line. I think he may have tried it a couple times. Boy, Dawson Cox with a great job getting that 7 car back under control as we have got 3 laps to go. It's still Nema Lang in the lead by a bunch of acreage over the battle between Dawson in the 7 and Thomas in the 19. It's going to be 1 lap to go coming up. We should see the white flag here pretty quick.
You got, like you say, just a couple more laps. Stanford's going to maybe take a breath, let these tires cool down just a little bit, take one more run at them. But he can't let that 7 car Cox get too far out there, or it will not happen at this particular point. But I got to tell you, Stanford should not be disappointed if he should come in the 3rd spot.
There he is. There's your leader. Remember him, the 18 of Nema Lang. White flag out as the 2nd and 3rd go across. But, man, it has been all Nema all night long. Takes another win in the Speedway Chevrolet Pro Late Model Division. And let's see. Here comes the battle, and it's going to go to Dawson Cox. Thomas Stanford with a bit of smoke coming out, which looked like the right front. So we will bring them all 3 of them up to our Angel of the Winds podium. What a great battle for 2nd place. So impressed with how both those guys handled it.
Good news, bad news. We didn't mention Doug Bennett's name after the start, which means he finished. He probably rolling that thing back on the trailer.
Yep.
And did exactly what he was supposed to do this time.
And probably told Dad to push on that bumper while I get her loaded up. Dad, come on.
Steve, lost one of our veterans.
Yes.
The passing of Harry Jefferson out of Natchez, who had a number of Cup starts, 6 K&N wins. His first win in K&N at the time, Winston West in those days, came right here at Evergreen Speedway. We're going to miss that man.
Left an incredible legacy, and thankfully we still get to watch Jefferson's race around. We will bring our top 3. Let's take them up to the Angel of the Winds podium.
Nema, we're so used to seeing you up here, but I tell you what, I think maybe some of the most exciting race, other than for 2nd and 3rd place, was at the very start of that race, but you held your cool and then you took advantage as soon as you needed to.
Yeah, the beginning of that race took a lot of patience because there's a lot of fast guys in front of me, and you never know what's going to happen, and it was a good run. I got to thank my guys. I got to thank Mark Weston. He came over and we put the old setup back in it that we won a bunch with, and it's right back where we were.
Maybe it's easy to say, but you just look so darn comfortable out there as soon as you get out in open space. You're so smooth when you're out there. I think you ended up the race with about a 5-second advantage over the 7D, but it just like clockwork for you out there.
Yeah, I try not to run that hard, but Donnie was spotting for me, and he was whipping me like a bad horse, and I didn't think I needed to run that hard, but I wasn't too worried about yellows coming out because I think we were pretty spread out.
Any other sponsors you need to thank tonight, Nema?
Yeah, for sure. J&R Truck Rentals, J&R Motorsports, Lang Auto Sports, and Tracy DeYoung with DeYoung Inc.
So last week, how many divisions did you race in?
2, and then technically a 3rd one because I ran the B main because I was bored.
Yeah, I was going to say, we saw you quite a bit last week. This week, we're used to seeing you in the Speedway Chevrolet Pro Late Model. Fantastic battle between you and Thomas for that 2nd spot. You prevailed tonight.
Yeah, I had a big old grin on my face the entire time. I was having a blast. Nema just ran away from me. He was on rails tonight. I kept up, and I'm pretty sure I wore all my stuff out trying to keep up. And then, me and Thomas, it felt like 20 laps. I don't know how long it was, but it felt like a long time, and I had a blast. I got to thank all my sponsors, Busch Light, Crown Distributing, all the people that helped me throughout the week, Dave Riddell, John Bender, my dad, Steve Cox, Kelly Tanner for helping us today. I couldn't do what I do without everybody. Oh, and my tire guy, Augie.
So currently 2nd place in points. 2nd place tonight always helps out, but you've had a great race season so far.
Yeah, I don't really follow points. I'm just here for, I'd like to say wins, but podiums are pretty cool too.
Might have been one of the most exciting battles. Unfortunately, it was for 2nd place tonight, but you had one heck of a battle tonight with you and the 7D of Dawson Cox.
Yeah, I was catching him there at the end, obviously, and we were just too tight on entry, and he was kind of the same deal, so he was entering high, and the car wasn't working how I wanted it to, but I was good hard racing. It was nice banging doors. I'm glad I didn't take any of us out, but we've definitely got a little work to do fixing body panels. But I'm glad I could get the APC hood up here on the podium, APC night. I also got to thank Easy Street Asphalt, Frost Livestock, Hager Motorsports, Tony, my buddy Tony's here tonight, and it's a great start to the late model career. I'm happy.
So you said great start to your late model career. First time up on the podium for you?
No, we were on the podium at the last race too, so this is 2 third places in a row. I'd like to improve on that, but we're working on it. I got a great team behind me. My dad, he's amazing. My wife, she's amazing. The rest of the guys, I mean, they work so hard and they're good at what they do, so we'll get there.
And thank you very much, Greg Pyland. Great job all season long. We've got a lot of season left, though, even though we have been talking about it winding down, like we talked about a couple times during this show. Get on to evergreenspeedway.com and find out, especially with the return of the Evergreen State Fair. Monster trucks coming up. In fact, that's going to be on our next show here on Home Track Heroes. We'll have sprint cars coming up on Labor Day weekend, our Granite Sprint Series. Always on the phenomenal demo derby, fireworks show, bus race, and all sorts of stuff. Get on to evergreenspeedway.com. Follow Tom's advice. Get a combo ticket.
Yep.
And come on out. See what's up.
Yeah, you know, if you want to see things blown up, wrecked, turned upside down, make sure you come to the Demolition Derby on Labor Day weekend. And it's always a packed house. It's a great deal. We drove in through the fairgrounds, and they were setting up food booths and all kinds of things going on right now. So you're right. It's getting close to the end. We touched very briefly on the passing of Harry Jefferson, and he and his brother George won races everywhere in the Pacific Northwest. Back in the old NASCAR Sportsman days, they were the team to beat, winning 25 races in a season at Yakima running here. As I mentioned, made a number of Cup starts, had 6 K&N, Winston West, whatever you want to call wins. First one coming here. He had a weekend, Steve, where he won Saturday night, I believe it was in Tri-Cities, and they took the K&N down to Portland on Sunday, and he picked up the win there. That guy was the best, and we're going to miss him. And, of course, the Jefferson kids are still at it, so they're still going to see a Jefferson.
Amazing legacy. We are just about out of time for this edition of Home Track Heroes. Thank you so much for your support. Thanks for the nice words when we run into you in the pits, and we really look forward to seeing you. Check out the sponsors. You'll see them going by. Home Track Heroes here on CW11.
Thanks for watching Evergreen Speedway's Home Track Heroes on CW11. Join us next week for more great racing from Evergreen Speedway.